All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here for today's CLE. We're talking about serving our communities and the opportunities that are available to you, but also getting some insight from some of our judges who work on pro bono programs and calendars to get some tips and tricks from them, but also to find out more about their programs as well. And we're going to be talking about attorney well-being and some of the new programs that will be available to you this year. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Pamela Beets. I'm the Access to Justice Director at the Utah State Bar. So I help oversee our pro bono efforts and some of our policy work in informing and getting data and equipping some of the advocates in our community to do the work that they do. I'm joined here by my staff attorney, Keenan. He will follow up, and then we have some wonderful presenters planned that we will announce throughout the day. So how to start? There are so many opportunities to serve in our community, and there's so many different needs that we see from people who are often struggling with issues. Some of them are very desperate. Some of them are just needing a little bit of information or help. And I guess the overall message that I want to get across today is that we have very flexible volunteer opportunities. You can tailor how you want to serve based on your needs, your comfort and experience level. So if you're really confident with litigation and you love it, we can get you more of it. If you're wanting to explore a new area where you're not so confident, we can help you do that too and get you mentoring. But we really have many programs that are designed to do that. And so what are the benefits? There are many benefits. Some of them are obvious, right? You're helping someone. It feels good, you are making a difference. But there's also other benefits that you can receive, right? It can give you work experience, it can expand your network, it can help redefine your priorities. As you start to learn and see what's going on in our community, you may find new areas of interest that you're passionate about and want to jump into. And it can give you a chance to make new friends who have similar interests. And so how do you do that? Well, again, I mentioned we have lots of different programs. I'm not going to go into all of them today. It could take hours and hours for me to talk about all of these programs. But what I want you to see from this is, regardless of what cause you're interested in or what area of law, if you're transactional, if you do litigation, if you love negotiating and working with people, we can find a solution that's right for you. So if you only have an hour once a month, we can help get you set up in a brief advice clinic volunteering and helping people in your area. If you have a little bit more time, we can get you on some of our limited scope representation calendars or some of our special events that come up, as well as our signature programs. And we'll talk more about those as we go. Finally, if you really want to dig in, we have so many different full litigation opportunities where you can take on a case and work with someone from start to finish. So we invite you to learn more about that. And the way that you can do that is through our Utah Pro Bono portal. And you can see the link at the top. We'll send this out with our materials from today so you can find it. But if you go to this portal, you will see not only all of our programs and the opportunities that we have, but you'll also see many of our community partners have listed their opportunities too. This is real time. It's filterable by your interest and how much time you have. And it's ultimately a one-stop shop for you to find opportunities that match what you're hoping to do. It also allows you to keep track of your records and how often you volunteer, and gives you a sense of how many hours you're serving. So with that, invite you to learn more. If you have questions, you can always reach out to our office. I'll put my contact information in the chat. And then I'm going to turn the time over to Keenan Carroll. Again, he's our staff attorney here, and he's going to talk more about how pro bono works.
Hello, everyone. My name is Keenan Carroll. As Pam mentioned, I'm the staff attorney in the A2J office, and I kind of help manage some of these programs. And so if you ever have a question, I'll do the same as Pam mentioned. I'll put my email in here. Feel free to reach out to me. We can work through some of these rules that I'm going to go through that hopefully make pro bono easier and more accessible for you, your offices, and any of the law students or recent graduates in your office as well. So without further ado, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this because I feel like we all hear about this rule so often, but it's in the rules of professional responsibility 6.1. It encourages all of us as attorneys to try and render at least 50 hours of pro bono legal services per year. And the only thing I really want to focus on here is just how big of an umbrella in which it gives to define what pro bono and what pro bono service opportunities you can participate in. You can work with your religious organizations that you're involved with, civic, community, governmental organizations, educational organizations, any and all of it. Anything you're interested in, any service that you provide geared towards those who have lesser means, and as long as you're not charging a fee or anything of that nature, it is considered pro bono. And so we encourage you and try and support you in any way to make sure you reach that goal of 50 hours. And some of these rules, hopefully, as we highlight them, will make it a little bit easier here for you to participate. One of the ways in which we're trying to support you while you're doing pro bono is we have a proposed rule in front of the Supreme Court to be, it's on the very last legs to get finalized here. It's an attempt to get you two hours of CLE credit annually. Essentially, if you put in 5 hours of pro bono work, you'll get 1 CLE credit. There's going to be a form that you fill out in order to get that credit and make sure that you get credit for it. The comment period on that rule just closed, and so we'll provide updates for those of you that are here today along for this rule. But we also want to let you know that if you participate in any of our signature programs, part of our responsibility is to make sure you feel comfortable, trained, prepared going in. And so we do regular CLEs for our volunteers, and we try to make those free as well. So if you're interested in any of those, please reach out to our office and we will provide that information. This is Rule 13.6.5. Now, a barrier that may come up is that you're worried about conflict checks for any of these pro bono opportunities. This rule provides for short-term limited legal services for a client as long as you know as the attorney that there isn't a conflict, as long as it's not blaring. This rule allows you to represent them and provides that if for some reason later down the road someone else in your firm wants to help and take them on for a fee, the rule provides that as long as you are doing it in a limited scope manner, that you didn't charge a fee at the time that you're doing it pro bono, you shouldn't have to worry about the conflicts from that limited scope representation. And so the rule is 13.6.5 if you want to look further into that, but that's just to try and help make it easier for you to jump into some of these cases. Our office also tries to help if you're doing it through a signature program. If you know of a blatant conflict, for instance, the pro se debt collection calendar, if you know that you can't take like medical debt cases because you represent a lot of hospitals in the area or something like that, we can help tailor your experience so that you don't run into that. There's plenty of there's housing debt, there's credit card debt, things like that, that we can gear you towards to avoid any conflicts. The next rule may involve any retiring lawyers that you know, any inactive attorneys. Maybe they just decided that the law wasn't for them, but they still want to put their law school education into work, or any out-of-state attorneys. We know a lot of you work at law firms that are national firms or work within some of our surrounding areas. Rule 14803 provides a path for those inactive or out-of-state attorneys to provide pro bono representation in the state of Utah. Essentially, all that needs to be done to meet these parameters under this rule is that they needed to have been sworn in as an attorney. If they're inactive, it had to be at some point. If they're admitted out of state, they need to provide something showing that they're in good standing. We have some forms, we help with that process. And you also need to apply and receive authorization with the Access to Justice office. So either Pamela or myself, it's a one-page application, so it's really simple. We will help you through that process. Again, you just ask and we will deliver. And then it needs to be through one of the signature programs approved by the bar. For if your firm's trying to take a case pro bono on their own, you can contact us and we can help work it through one of our programs. Or one of our approved pro entities. So just reach out to us. The last rule I want to go through is Rule 14807. This is a great rule that helps get our law students and recent graduates that courtroom experience that you may not get at law school. For this rule, the law student will need to have completed at least 1 year of law school before they can jump in. There are some experiences in which they may need to take an evidence class in which they'll need to provide documentation of. The law student or recent graduate will need a supervising attorney, and they'll also need to get written consent from the individual that they're representing, that they know that they're a law student and that they consent to that. We have standard forms and templates that law students can use. If you have summer associates or interns and you want to mentor them, we can help provide those and find you an opportunity. Two of the law students here, we have Matt Naputi and Jenny Hoppy. Matt Naputi and Jenny, they both worked through, Matt did a lot of the eviction calendars, so he was in front of the judges, arguing, doing evidentiary hearings, working with real clients. And Jenny Hoppy worked through the Timpanogos Legal Clinic, really doing a lot of one-on-one work with clients and providing brief advice, things of that nature. And so it's just a great opportunity to get students experience. And so if you have an intern or a summer associate, we'd love to help them take advantage of this rule. So please feel free to reach out to us. Now, that is the end of my portion. I'm going to turn the time over to Martha Knudsen. She's the Executive Director of the Wellbeing Committee and will be explaining some of the new offerings that they have. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Keenan. Hi, everybody. This is Martha. Let me get my screen sharing up here. So I am the director of the bar's well-being programs. I am an attorney. I practiced for about 18 years, and I'm now working in this area because I went back to school again and got a master's in applied positive psychology, which is the science of human thriving. So what is well-being, right? Let's talk about that for just a really quick minute to frame up this conversation. So I want you to think to yourself, when I say the phrase physical health, what comes into your mind? Anybody wants to put something in the chat, go for that too. All right, what I'm betting that a lot of you think when I say physical health is exercise, nutrition, sleep, yoga, maybe going to the gym, movement, that kind of stuff. But when I say mental health, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? If you folks are like a lot of people, the first things that come into mind when you think of mental health is depression, anxiety, if just any kind of a situation like that, like a diagnosis, like that's really not mental health. And I wonder, like, why do we do that? Because when you think of physical health, you're not thinking of, the first thing that comes to mind usually is not cancer, like broken leg, diabetes, right? So it's the same thing with mental health. Mental health is more than mental not health, because the well-being really exists on a spectrum from anywhere from barely surviving to thriving and anywhere in between. We're all on this spectrum all of the time. And it's the tiny little micro moves that we make every single day in all of our dimensions of life that really either help us go up the chain towards more thriving, or can lead slowly down towards, the barely surviving side of things. So the way that we look at well-being is this: it is a continuous process towards thriving in all dimensions of life. And this is going to look a little bit different for everybody, but the bazillions of scientific studies have kind of boiled them down to these large, like, life domains. So how does pro bono relate to well-being? And actually, before we talk about that, let's just touch on for a minute, why does well-being matter? Like, why do you care? Why does it matter to the practice of law? Well, where you are on that well-being spectrum correlates to things that we want and that help us to enjoy the practice, stay sharp, and be able to handle stress, or it can make us harder to be able to manage some of the tough things that come with the practice. We're not as sharp, and it's like moving through life with a bag of rocks on your back instead of, skipping down the road. In both instances, you can do well in the practice of law, but I know I would rather not have a backpack on my back full of rocks. So here are some of the correlations that we see when you are on the higher end of the scale towards thriving versus on the lower end of this of the scale towards surviving. And when your well-being is higher, we've got, in terms of practicing law, we've got better memory, improved executive functioning. We kind of need those things. We like our jobs more. Work satisfaction is better. Our motivation's higher. We perceive that we have more balance in our life. We're able to handle stress better. And look down at the bottom in bold. Greater professional identity is just a sciencey way of saying civility and professionalism. So well-being is very much correlated with the practice of law. So how does pro bono work relate to well-being? In a nutshell, it can help to fulfill our basic psychological needs. So tens of thousands of scientific studies have shown that universally, all humans have the same three basic fundamental psychological needs. These run under the surface. So most of the time, we're not even aware that we have these needs, or whether or not they're being fulfilled. We're just mostly unaware of them. But research has shown that to the extent that these needs are satisfied, it will impact our life satisfaction, our motivation, our vitality, and our overall well-being. It's the same in the work context. Whether or not these needs are satisfied impacts our satisfaction with our work, our motivation for our work, our energy levels, and our overall well-being. So what are these powerful needs? There's three of them that we believe that there's more, but all these studies all come back to these three. So number one is autonomy. And this need is a sense of volition and internal control. So you feel like the actions you take at work emanate from yourself and reflect who you really are instead of just responding to outside pressures. So that's autonomy. The second one is competence. This is about a sense of mastery and efficacy in your activities at work. You feel like you're capable at what you do and are able to accomplish projects and achieve your goals. The final one, the third one, is belonging, also known as relatedness in this research. And this is the interpersonal dimension. It reflects the extent to which a person feels connected to others, has caring relationships, and belongs to a community. So let's look at these in the context of the practice of law. Now, this chart reflects some findings from a 2015 study of 6,200 practicing lawyers across 4 states. And these are lawyers at all different points in their practice, anywhere from law firms to public interest work and everything in between. So the researchers looked at what makes lawyers happy, motivated, and resilient to stress. They compared the traditional trappings of success like law review and class rank and stuff like that to these basic psychological needs being met. So just really quick here, as you look at these numbers, in social science research, anything above a 0.1 is a significant correlation. And here are these numbers, like look at some of this stuff when we get up into autonomy, support, motivation, competence, belonging, and autonomy, the 3 needs. That's a 0.55 to a 0.66. That is a huge correlation. You do not see correlations like this typically in a lot of social science research. So we know that these, like, we're very confident that the satisfaction of these needs helps lawyers be more motivated in their work, have more satisfaction with their profession. They like their jobs more. So these things matter. So how does pro bono work help satisfy these needs? Well, we'll take all the 3 again. Let's look at autonomy. Remember, this is your volition. So presumably you are here learning about pro bono work or doing it because there's some part of you that finds it personally valuable and fulfilling. And, you know, at a basic level, also, you are choosing to do this. No one is making you do this. So that's your volition. The second one is competence. With pro bono, you get to use the skills that you have. And that feels really great when you get to use skills you're awesome at. You can improve your skills, improve your efficacy, take something you want to get better at and practice it. And you have a chance to build new skills in a pretty safe place with help from colleagues. There are people there that are there to help you, give you feedback, help walk you through how to do things. And so that's a great way to help build your competence, either if you're a new lawyer or if you are a seasoned lawyer looking to learn some new areas. And finally, connection. The community with doing pro bono is a awesome one. I know a lot of people join some of these pro bono projects because they want the community, because they want the friendships. And you heard Pam talk about that at the top of the meeting. So, you know, do some pro bono work and it will benefit your well-being in these ways, if not more. So, the final way that the pro bono work can help you is that pro bono work is, like, in satisfying those needs, it really predicts your finding that your work is meaningful. And meaningful work and your perception of that is also highly correlated with both overall satisfaction with your career and elevated levels of well-being. So, you know, you think about it, when we're automatically able to choose our work tasks and focus on them, they're more likely to be meaningful to us. And similarly, if we feel ineffectual, incompetent, or unable to complete tasks, it's kind of hard to feel like your work matters. But if we feel competent, it leads us to empowerment. And finally, relationships are what make our lives meaningful. And it's probably the top researched piece of well-being, and other people matter. You can really boil a lot of this stuff down to that one phrase: other people matter. So your health and well-being is a very important focus from the Utah State Bar. And we have gone out and found 2 awesome new health and well-being benefits for you that will be starting on February 1st. And so I'm going to take a minute and just introduce these to you so you know that they're coming and you know how to access it. So the first is a company we partnered with called Unmind. And Unmind is a mental health tool accessible through an app, or you could do it through your desktop. This is really a tool that's focused on building strengths. It's all on finding out how we're doing, and then taking these little bite-sized tools and educational content and resources that can help us, no matter where we are on that spectrum of well-being that we talked about, help us work on stuff we want to work at, get better at stuff we're already good at, and also to pay attention to where we are on this well-being spectrum. So when you look at the App Store, there are over 30,000 different health and well-being apps. Less than 5% of them are scientifically validated. Unmind is one of them, and that's why we have partnered with them. And also, you know, they follow the data. They continually make sure that what they're putting into the content is validated and that the way that they're delivering it actually works. And what they found from millions of users is that 71% of users report reductions in stress, 62% report feeling less anxious. And this is completely confidential. The bar will never know who's using it and what you're using it for, how you're using it, right? Well-being is different for everybody. You can use it any way you want to. The only thing the bar will send Unmind is your bar license number. So that is what you will use to access Unmind. And this is how you do it. This information will be on the bar's website, and also look in your email. You'll be getting some additional information so you can access this. So either download it from the App Store, visit it on your desktop. You'll get walked through how to do this, but you're going to look for the Utah State Bar. And then if you're an active attorney, you will use your bar number. And so you'll get this for you, and then you get to pick a buddy that you want to give it to. It can be a family member, it can be a friend, it can be a coworker that's not a lawyer, it can be your neighbor down the street that you think, you know, could really use something like this. You get to choose. So we are super excited about Unmind. This is a cutting edge technology, and Utah is the first state bar to do something like this for its members. So check it out. That's February 1st. The second benefit that you will be getting on February 1st is Tava Health. What is Tava? Well, it's mental health care. It's access to therapy. And they focus primarily on providing high quality access to therapy quickly. Their therapists are master's level or above, and they are experienced. And this is how you do it. So you, as of February 1st, you can get on Tava's platform, and we'll get you all the information, like how to navigate to that. And you put in the preferred email address you have with the bar, and your name. And then you get in there and they ask you a couple questions, and you take a quick assessment, and they match you with a therapist. And if you don't like the one that they suggest, then you can keep looking at all their therapists. I think in Utah, they have about 800 therapists that are Utah licensed and available. So then once you see therapists, you can listen to a clip of like a video clip, so you can see what they look like, what they sound like. You can look at their expertise and experience. And if you decide on one, you're like, oh, okay, cool. I want to go see, Joe Schmo. And right there in front of your face, you'll have all of his availability. And then you just click on it and you make the appointment right there on your computer. And usually you will get in within 5 business days of a request for an appointment, which is huge right now. People are waiting 3 to 6 months or more to be able to find a therapist and get in with them. So the bar is providing each licensed Utah attorney 6 sessions per calendar year. So February 1st to January 31st. And then on February 1st, 2024, it resets and you get 6 again. You can use them for yourself, for couples therapy, family therapy, anything that you want to use them for. There are different therapists that specialize in all sorts of things like managing stress, or maybe like anxiety or big life changes or grief, or, you know, whatever it is that you would like to talk to somebody about, they will have somebody there. And if the therapist that you go to the first like 1 or 2 times and you're like, yeah, because therapy is kind of like dating, you know, not everybody's going to be your cup of tea. You can just choose another therapist the next time. And with Tava's platform, they will, your notes will transfer right over. So you don't have to start at square one. And if you really like your therapist and you're really finding benefit in therapy and you've used your 6 sessions, you can continue with the same therapist or a different Tava therapist and either apply your insurance or just cash pay at $125 per session. So this benefit is for you as a licensed attorney and your dependents. That's your spouse or your partner and your kids. So that is Tava. Here is a quick, let me back up really quick and just tell you this. The Utah Bar will get no information about you, that you've signed in, that you've used it. Same thing as with Unmind. We will be giving them your the name and the preferred email address that you have on file with the bar, so you can get in and set up your session and use the benefits. But what I'll get back, or what the bar will get back, is just aggregate numbers of how many people are using it, so we can see if it's getting used. And the same goes for Unmind. All we'll see is really who's getting used, and if there's like some big trend that suddenly everyone is really interested in all the sleep stuff because apparently all Utah lawyers aren't sleeping or something like that, it'll give us some idea of what kind of programming we can push out to the members. But we will never know who uses it and what you use it for. So please just be assured about that. So this is how you get started. There is the website. You go there. You put in your, I guess your birthday's on there too, and email. You set up your own account. Select the Utah State Bar as the organization who will pay for you. You just take a quick confidential assessment for the match. And you pick a therapist and schedule an appointment, all right there in front of you. One of my colleagues, as we were putting this together, she got on and she's like, I'm going to give it a try. It took 3 minutes to get in, get on. She sifted through some therapists, found one she thought looked good, and had an appointment in 2 days. And she was very, very pleased. I mean, she's an N of 1, but she's somebody that is pretty. She has very high standards for how these things work. So those are your 2 new benefits. Again, they're coming February 1st. Please look at the bar's website as we get closer to that date, and be aware in your email you'll be getting, you've already had one email that's come out from the bar, but another one will come out as well. And if you have any questions about this, please reach out to me. My email address is here, and I'll also put it in the chat. And if anyone has any messages or any questions now, you can throw them in the chat and fire away. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next person. Anyone? All right, great. Well, thanks for having me. And I look forward to people using these benefits, and let me know how you like them.
I'll introduce our next little section here. Scotty Hill's going to be our mediator. She's the ethics counsel here at the bar, and we'll be talking to Judge Thurman and Judge Parker and get some insights from them about volunteers and volunteering in their courts and in the different programs that they participate with. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. So as Keenan said, I'm Scotty Hill. I'm ethics counsel at the Utah State Bar. I oversee our ethics hotline, but I actually began my legal career in the Access to Justice office doing Keenan's job, where I really gained a profound appreciation for pro bono work, continued the passion that I had for it in law school, and had the pleasure of working with many attorneys who mentored me, and with one of the two judges who I have the unique pleasure of speaking with today. Now, there's a lot of great questions, or at least 6 big questions